What's up guys, Jack here, and today I wanted to kick off a little something, a new series on this channel if you will, and that is this: has a new game got game? I.e., what do I think about it, is it any good, and hopefully through the footage on screen and my personal feelings, perhaps it could help you decide if it's a game you would want to get for yourself or a game that you'd want to avoid and save your money on. It's not a review, I'm not going to give the game a score because I think review scores are dumb because games are subjective, different strokes for different folks, and I think with the massive emphasis on multiplayer games now, your particular gaming situation and friendship groups that you often game with will have a big impact on the level of enjoyment you can get from a specific game. So today we're asking the question, has Evolve got game? This is a game I've played a lot on PC and some on Xbox One, both in pre-release and post-release. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you've probably seen 4 or 5 Evolve videos here already, but they've only ever been like first impressions or gameplay. So very briefly, what's Evolve about? It's a 4 versus 1 asymmetric multiplayer game. One person plays as a big monster, 4 others play as the hunters. In the main game mode Hunt, the hunters are tasked with killing the monster. If they succeed, the round ends and the hunters win. On the flip side, the monster can win either by killing all of the hunters or when they evolve to level 3, destroying the power generator. The game also offers a sort of campaign mode called Evacuation, which includes 3 other game modes. Rescue mode involves AI survivors that have to be killed by the monster and saved by the hunters. Nest sees the monster on the defensive, having to protect 6 eggs, one of which at any time can be turned into an AI monster that will fight with them. And finally, the 4th game mode is called Defend, and that's where there's 3 generators the monster has to destroy sequentially with the help of waves of 2 AI monsters. And guess what? The hunters have to kill the monster before it destroys all 3. It should also be noted that all 4 game modes can be played with bots that actually do a pretty good job of replicating their human counterparts. So what are the good things here? What's there to like about Evolve? I think the main point to make is that it's actually very well balanced. For a 4 versus 1 game, asymmetric multiplayer is pretty hard to get right, but I feel like they've done a good job here. 12 hunters in total, 4 classes, each with their own weapons and abilities, 3 monsters in the vanilla game. There's a lot of variables here, but I've had several close matches which have gone either way. Although I do feel like eventually, due to the nature of 4 versus 1, dedicated hunter teams will come up with some crazy strats and tactics and will probably win the majority of the time. But for the most part at the moment, if you're in a public lobby, I think it's pretty well balanced. As for gameplay, this is one of the first games I've played where I can effectively be the boss battle and have a lot of fun doing it. When playing as the monsters, you feel very powerful, you feel like you can take the damage, you can systematically pick off each hunter one by one, and I also love how different each of the monsters feel. The Wraith is very fragile, but at the same time it's quick and put out a load of damage. The Kraken is more of a ranged mid-tier, and the Goliath is much more of a brawler, getting up close and personal. You can play it stealthy, play it full on, try and evolve as fast as possible. There's loads of ways in Evolve to actually approach playing as the monster. I also love the way each hunter's weapons and abilities work in tandem with each other. There's just so many intricacies here. There's a lot to learn about the strengths, weaknesses and combos of your teammates' abilities, how you can help each other do more damage, how you can take less damage, things to avoid doing like throwing down a dome in the wrong place, misuse of one of Hyde's gas grenades for example that can actually slow your teammates down and put them in danger. Teamwork is absolutely essential here when playing as the hunters. This is a big team game. If you go off by yourself, you're probably a goner. So that's just a few of the things I like here. Now what I don't like, well, I wanted to start with what I think is one of my biggest problems with the game. I really enjoy playing the game on my own as the monster. I can sit here for hours playing as the monster, round after round, smashing people, trying out different gameplay styles, using different monsters. I really enjoy it. However, playing on my own as a hunter with 3 random people who barely talk on comms, I just get incredibly bored, and so many times in a situation like this where I'm playing with random people, you don't see the monster until it's level 3, it's just a big game of cat and mouse, you're running around in circles and then you get smashed. I can't play this game on my own in public servers as a hunter. It just doesn't do it for me. I find it incredibly boring. But on the flip side, if I've got 3 other friends on TeamSpeak and we make a hunter team together, I'm into that. We communicate all the time, we use tactics, have some really close intense games with clutch moments, it's a good game to play with friends. But it's not very often that I've got 3 friends who are available and want to play at the same time. Most of them have already got bored of Evolve and stopped playing it. So I would say if you've got a group of friends who are pretty dedicated and all have the game and they're going to play it for a while, it can actually give you some fun times. You just simply can't rely on random teammates in this game. You're going to get incredibly frustrated. But if you're more of a solo online player, in my opinion, playing as the monster is the only enjoyment you'll find here, and it's still really hard to get into a game starting as the monster. The matchmaking very rarely works for me, even with the monster as my number 1 preference. 80% of the time I'll get thrown into a game as a hunter or take over an AI controlled bot monster that's on its last legs and about to lose, which of course really sucks. Another disappointment for me, and I think a big missed opportunity with Evolve, is it doesn't have a proper co-op campaign mode. And I don't know if Turtle Rock or 2K had even considered doing this, but I think a proper co-op campaign mode could have really been great here and added way more value and longevity to the product. They've spent a lot of time creating all this lore, some cool looking environments, some great looking characters, and you're just sort of thrown into it in a multiplayer game. And I'm not asking for like a fully fledged 10-hour job, just something Left 4 Dead style where you know the general story, there's different chapters, you can tell where the beginning, middle and end is. Evacuation mode in Evolve just isn't the same for me, and it just feels like 5 multiplayer maps strung together one after the other. Also, the characters in Evolve, as cool as they look, I really don't care for them at all. Going back to Left 4 Dead here for a second, I actually gave a damn about the characters in that game. I knew who Zoe was, who Lewis and Bill were, I knew the sort of things they said, I can remember their catchphrases, I felt that I could relate to them, they were memorable for me. But in Evolve, I just don't get that same feeling. Like I said, you're just sort of thrown in, and yeah, there's a few conversations that the characters have here and there, but I hear it repeated so many times, I don't think there's enough of them, and I just don't really care for what they've got to say. Maybe that's because there isn't a proper co-op story mode, or maybe it's just how the characters have been written. I don't feel like I'm playing as Hyde or Parnell, I just feel like I'm a soldier dude. I don't feel like I'm playing as Maggie, I'm just a woman with a pet trapjaw. And that removes me from the immersion and the fantasy of the game a little bit. From a technical standpoint, I think the game looks good, especially when you whack the resolution and all the settings up on PC. Although I do wish there was more variation in the level design. There's only one map that really stands out for me, which is Avery. The rest just all kind of look the same to me. Lots of browns and greys with some industrial man-made buildings thrown into the mix. It would have been nice to see more variation in the level design. As for stability, it runs well for me and I haven't had any crashes as of yet, but I still can't believe there's not a field of view slider on the PC version. The weapon model takes up almost a quarter of the screen, which is frankly ridiculous. I think it would have been really cool to see some Monster and Hunter versus Monster and Hunter game modes too. There'd be some interesting meta game there. As a monster, do you go after the other hunters? Do you go after the other monster to stop them evolving? I don't know if that was experimented with, but that would have been something really cool to see in the game. Yeah, there we go. I don't want these Got Game videos to be like 30 minutes long, so I'm going to stop now. And like I said, not going to give a score. I just hope that this helps you decide if you fancy picking up the game or not. My general thoughts for Evolve are, if you like playing as the monster all the time, you'll enjoy it and the game's going to have value. But if you want to play as the hunters more, you'll definitely need a consistent group of friends to play together with, or you're going to have a bad time. Also, I think Turtle Rock and 2K really screwed up with the DLC mess for this game. It was very confusing and ruined the reputation of Evolve before it was even released. Finally, there's not a great deal of longevity here, especially for the average Joe gamer. No proper campaign is a letdown for me. I'd love to have seen a Hunter co-op campaign with a story, perhaps fighting against multiple monsters through different varied environments, and just getting to know the characters a bit better really. Maybe Evolve 2 can offer that one up. Thanks for watching guys. Next time on Got Game, we're going to be looking at the Order 1886. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.